it is, what it is, what it is, my people. Can y'all hear me? How do I sound? You know, it's like my second time doing this in a minute, so let me know. How's everything looking? Look clean on my end. So I'm hoping it's looking clean on yours. Yobi, I appreciate it, bro. Listen, I was going to try my hardest, or I am going to try my hardest, to talk about this movie without spoiling it, because I really believe that if you talk about this movie and the things that people are paying for tickets to see, yeah, you can talk about it without saying those things, right? I feel like that because I want to talk about it being a comedy because I feel like that's what Marvel's been missing, even though that sounds crazy because they inject so much comedy into all the other shit they do. So it's like, oh, well, what is that? Oh, Crow say, oh, Crow, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? So, yeah, it's going to be difficult to talk about it without spoiling, because some of those spoilers, it's just a lot of cool shit in this movie, man. I can't wait to talk about it. But look, let's do some housekeeping. How's everybody doing? Happy Sunday. Cheers. You know how we do. Ooh, shoot. Who we got in here? What's good, Aunt Crow? What's happening? Of course, the legend Yobi. O-Dog. All right, so my everything's good. Okay, cool. I mean, I could just dive right in. I'm keeping 100. It was good. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it a little bit more because what really made me want to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine is like, it's the snob film. I don't want to call him critic, but yeah, like the snob film critic. Last year was a good year for films. Really good year for films, especially blockbuster films. And the ones that did well weren't comic films. And I feel like, you know, a lot of people think it's a fatigue thing or maybe just oversaturation of superhero movies. Either way, it was just, you know, on the downslope last year. And you had movies like Oppenheimer, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon. You had a bunch of other films too that did well. You know, the Oscars was a strong representation of that crop of films. But in my opinion, that still doesn't take away from the fact that the summer blockbuster is not just superhero movies, but superhero movies have a place in them. In fact, one of the largest places in them. That's why they're so important. You've seen in Comic-Con this weekend. That shit was everywhere. You could not escape Doctor Doom yesterday. Doctor Doom was like not like us. You feel what I'm saying? It was like, God damn, like everybody know about this shit, man. Everybody was talking about it. So it's just one of those things where, you know, it's popular. And, you know, I know it's like contrarian. You know, people like being contrarian, especially now on the internet. So if everyone's going this way, I'm smarter than you guys, I'll go this way. But I feel like a lot of it, not some, a lot of it is at the sake of the entertainment. Is this entertaining at the end of the day? Do I have to learn something from everything? No, because I don't. You know, and then you have filmmakers that try to make films with all this meaning and sentiment that they're pouring onto you. And that shit goes nowhere. It doesn't even come across. So for me, it's like, I feel like superhero movies have a strong place, especially in that summer blockbuster field where, you know, before it was like the car chase movies, like Speed with Keanu Reeves, you know, it was shit like that. That was like the summer blockbuster. Then you start getting like The Matrix and Mission Impossible and Fast and the Furious. And then, you know, Iron Man happened. You had a couple. You had the Spider-Man and the Batman, but not this type of consistency or this type of saturation. Nothing like this, right? It became a staple a staple in summertime film goers itinerary. You knew that Marvel or DC was going to have a movie coming out this year. And the shit kind of just fell off a cliff last year. So here we are with Deadpool and Wolverine. Are you guys fans of the Deadpool movies? Do you like those movies? I liked the first one, but I really didn't like the second one. Like the second one was like, the first one was cool, but the second one, I wasn't too, even though technically the second one is a better movie because they have not even a better movie, but a bigger movie, because they had the bigger budget and the stars to play off of, Josh Brolin and others. So it's like, yeah, it was a bigger movie, but it didn't feel the same. Ryan Reynolds is playing the same character, but it didn't have that charm. It was like it was cool to see for the first time. And it was real isolated. It was a small movie. You know, it was really funny. So to me, that's a Deadpool movie, right? And the second one, they tried to make it even bigger. And I feel like with this movie, they really took it to another level. Like they really tried to make this like as big as possible. Pause. They really, you know, this is the Marvel, the MCU gods opening up their wallets to directors Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds for this Deadpool movie. They get Hugh Jackman on board, and now you have this, you know, this dynamic where you took Deadpool, which was, no, I don't want to say, yeah, it was an isolated thing. They interject some X-Men stuff there, here and there, but really it was isolated, and made him part of a larger universe. So the movie had to be bigger. And I know this is going to be a weird comparison, but it made me feel how I felt when I watched Ant-Man. And I'm not saying the quality of movie or filmmaking is the same. It's not what I'm saying. But I felt the same way. And what I mean by that is, the reason I like this character is because they are isolated. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're kind of their own thing, and they had their own type of movie. Where Deadpool is an action comedy, and Ant-Man was like an action heist comedy kind of deal. So they resemble each other. And they both, on their third movie, fell into this whole, now we have to be a part of this larger universe. So now the movie has to be bigger. Like the movie has to be huge. And Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think it was called Quantumania, you know, where Jonathan Majors ultimately, who did a good job in that movie, but fumbled the bag. Crazy. Fumbled the bag. He was on board to be in, like, you know, the big bad. So that movie had this buzz around it. And then when you watched it, it was flat. Like, it looked flat and it was flat on top of that. It didn't have that heart and spirit that the first Ant-Man movie had. And I feel like that with Deadpool, but not as much, because the heart of Deadpool is there, which is Ryan Reynolds. All Ryan Reynolds has to do is like talk. And, you know, he's kind of just Deadpool all the time anyway, right? But the heart, they tried to inject those parts in there, but I felt like they were an afterthought because of all the multiverse stuff going on, right? The cameos and the action scenes, which are great, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit. But it got kind of pushed aside for all these other things because the movie had to be big. It had to be this epic movie because it has Deadpool and Wolverine, and not just any Wolverine, but Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, who was supposed to be dead in Logan. What was that, 2018 or something like that, 17? But no, I think it was like 16, whatever. But he's back, and we're going to talk about coming back for the check. We got a lot to talk about, but I feel like because the movie got bigger, the heart wasn't as big as it was in the first movie. But that doesn't mean it wasn't entertaining. And I feel like it was the right movie at the right time for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because a lot of the shit they've been putting out lately has just been, it hasn't been awful. I think when people say that it's awful, they're being disingenuous because they either hate it or they want to be a part of the crowd or the mob that is hating it at the time. But they haven't made terrible things, but they've made things that are really forgettable. Really forgettable. Like, we all watch some form of Law and Order, right? I think everybody's watched Law and Order, and there's episodes where they just kind of are on. You know what I'm saying? And they're forgettable. And then you'll see it again because they play the reruns all the time, like 3-4 weeks later. But it's not memorable. It kind of just passes you by. And that they're making films and TV shows that are just the same, just passing you by. Like, you see them and then they just kind of, it's fleeting. You watch it and then it's gone. You don't think about it again. You don't have any questions in your mind about it. You just kind of, you forget you even saw it. I feel that way about She-Hulk and a bunch of other ones. A bunch of other stuff. The Eternals, have no idea what that movie's about. I really don't. And I saw it in the theater. No idea. I don't know what The Eternals is about. And who cares anyway? Like no one cared about that movie. I don't care. If you were in the theater the night that we saw it, I know for a fact you don't care about the Eternals. They made a movie that was just there. They made a film. But that was it. So they were making content in that and that's probably the real fault, is that they were making content. Instead of making art or making films, Marvel started making content. And that's where shit went haywire. That's why after Endgame, it really just went to the wayside, because they start making content. Everything became content. Instead of making films, which they really built their foundation on, making films. You know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe used to be Marvel Films. Like, Marvel Films is probably like a better take on it, but now they got so many things, and, you know, Disney wants to sell everything, so it's hard to just make films, right? They got to sell toys too. Which leads me to Deadpool and Wolverine, because this is rated R, and it earned it. It earned that rated R. I'm talking about is blood, guts, dick jokes, you know, no nudity, if I'm not mistaken. No nudity. And they didn't do coke. They made a joke about that. And there's a lot of wild ass jokes in this. I'm talking about tons of wild ass jokes. The comedy is great. The comedy is awesome. And that's always the saving point for any Deadpool film, because the narrative is just giving Deadpool reasons to say this kind of stuff, or a cool action scene, you know, where he's just chopping shit up with katanas. Like, it's just something to thread you forward to get to like the big bad, or the reason that they are doing what they're doing. Something to get you along the story. But the actual narrative is, I'm talking about razor thin, and it's the same here. Very razor thin narrative for while all this stuff is happening. You get a little backstory of why the Wolverine that's in this film is in this film. And then after that, man, it just turns into, you know, a road trip where Deadpool and Wolverine are just fucking each other up. And it's fun. And I felt like the biggest thing that audiences that see it in the theater, mind you, because I think watching it in the house, some of those jokes and some of that action might fall flat, because you don't have that audience to laugh at it with you. And it's like that nod of approval to laugh, which is weird. Now, me, I mean to laugh at shit that's not even funny, but some people need that, you know, approval to laugh. So the joke becomes better or bigger because of that. And you have to watch in the theater for that. So I think that one of the biggest things that Marvel needed was a really good in-theater experience, because they don't want to give you their movies away. They don't want to give their movies away. They don't want to give you their movies through Disney Plus or whatever. You know, they're making people wait like 5 months, like all kind of crazy shit for these movies. So Disney doesn't want to give away the movies. So they got to be good, and they got to have a really good response in the theater, not just on streaming or whatever like that. Like a lot of them jokes might fall flat at home. This is an in theater summer romp, and you should go see it in the theater. It's worthy of seeing in the theater, not because of the cinematography or anything, because there is cool shots, especially like in the action. There's a fight scene that happens inside of a van, like the entire fight scene, and it's really cool. It's dope. I'm talking about, it's awesome. This is probably, in my opinion, the best scene in the whole movie. I love that scene, right? But the cinematography is, it's Marvel. Marvel's getting better at it. I feel like they're giving people more opportunities to do cooler shit and play with color and do just the way you express emotion visually. They're doing that a lot better now. But a lot of the stuff was flat. It was just flat cinematography. And I don't think you need to go crazy with the cinematography for a Deadpool and Wolverine movie. But it would have been nice to see some other stuff. And like they were in like this desert. They called it the Void. Now I want to tell you why it's called the Void. But if you follow any of this stuff, you know about the TVA. And if you know about the TVA, right? So in the Void, that's where all the bullshit gets dropped into the Void. And it's just like a desert with no life to it. There's a couple little Easter eggs here and there, but there's no life. There's no punch. It's nothing. It's flat. It's boring looking. Luckily, the two characters that you see on the screen are very colorful, because otherwise it would just look flat. And this is like a large part of the film is like in this desert area, and it just didn't look too nice to me. It didn't look pleasing to the eye, but the action is really good. And Hugh Jackman is having the time of his life playing Wolverine. He's having a great time, an amazing time playing Wolverine. He loves it. So, and it shows through his performance. Same thing with Ryan Reynolds. And it kind of reminds me of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. It reminds me of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. It really does. Like the way they embody these characters, man. They are the characters. They believe this shit. And that's the best thing you can get out of any actor is like them believing in what they're doing. A lot of us on this scale of filmmaking, and I mean on the come up, you run into actors that's just not pouring themselves into roles or into whatever it is that's being filmed, because they still have that hesitance or trepidation towards it, because they probably feel like they're embarrassing themselves, like they playing themselves, like I look like a fucking fool in front of all these people. But Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman don't feel that at all. That's not how they feel about the situation. They love this shit. They love being Wolverine and Deadpool. And you can tell that they're actually friends. You can see this visually on the screen. I feel like that right there makes up the why you're sitting there in the theater, because it's not the narrative. Story, razor thin. Like I said, cinematography hit and miss. Fight scenes are excellent. They're great. I love the fight scenes. Villain, who was just there to be there as a device to get these guys to work together and become a family and all that other cool shit that happens in the buddy movies. Because that's what this really is, a buddy road trip movie, and it's a comedy. And Marvel needed a straight up and down comedy. And what made it even better is it's a rated R comedy. So now you're getting all like the gruesome, violent action along with the dick jokes and the crazy shit going on that Deadpool's talking about. Like all of those things, that package wrapped up is fun to see. And they really needed a fun movie. Not like I seen the trailer to Captain America Brave New World? Is that what it's called? Brave New World. And it's so serious looking, right? They're in the White House, and it just looks so straightforward. And then at the very last frame of the trailer, they show a red Hulk. Now listen, nothing against the Hulk. Hulk's great character in the comic books and shit like that. You know, Bill Bixby. But the motherfucker's green. So the minute I see someone that's green, a part of me goes somewhere else. So when I see something that serious and then see a red monster at the end, it's a little jarring. Because they were just so serious, right? But I appreciate the seriousness of the narrative. I really do. And that is okay as long as we have the Deadpools and Wolverines. As long as we have these type of movies. Or Ant-Man 1. Even 2. 2 wasn't bad. 2 wasn't bad. Ant-Man 1. There has to be content that's strictly comedy. Like She-Hulk was kind of that. It just wasn't funny. Whoever wrote that was asleep at the wheel because it just I didn't get a laugh out of it. Some things, but most of it just wasn't funny to me. More things where it's just centralized into whatever that genre is, right? Like, I thought Shang-Chi was going to be a Hong Kong action type flick, and it kind of was, and then they resorted back to the Marvel-ness of shit, like the way they make movies, and I felt like they should have kind of stayed in the lane of it being this action martial arts film, where martial arts was the key pillar holding it up. And, you know, they had the father-son conflict, but I feel like they got away from the Kung Fu some, in a way. You know, they didn't. I guess they didn't want it to be all Kung Fu, I'm sure. But I don't know. I feel like they could have did a little bit more with that character, especially as far as the action and fighting. There's some good scenes, though. The bus scene is excellent. Yeah, they try hard with She-Hulk. They try hard. They failed miserably because it just wasn't funny. I didn't laugh. I laughed a couple times. But it's like 8, 9 episodes. You got to laugh way more than that for this to be considered a comedy. And Deadpool and Wolverine has the laughs. The laughs, I'm talking about frame 1 to literally the end credit scene. Laughs. All laughs. It's a wonderful comedy, and it shows that if Marvel would just unclench their butt and make real content, real films, and you know what I'm saying? Like, if they really just throw everything at the wall, man, I feel like they got so much to offer. Really, they still have more to offer. It felt like the Disney wall got put up. Oh, y'all got to keep making a bunch of content, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and fucked it up, man. Let them cook, as they say. But you can't have too many chefs in the kitchen. And I felt like, you know, it was too many chefs in the kitchen. That's why they was making so much of that bullshit. That's why there's an Agatha show. You know what I'm saying? That kind of shit. So, Deadpool and Wolverine. It's really, really good, but you have to approach it as it being a comedy and not looking for this superhero overarching narrative, because that shit ain't there. It's funny. It's crude. It's violent. But it's not, none of those things are like offensive, if that makes any sense. It's almost like they're welcomed. Weird, but yeah, it's a good film. I don't like rating movies because I don't know how to rate them. Like there's so many different aspects to how it's made. You're just gonna throw a number at it. It's crazy. You feel what I'm saying? Because the acting, A1. These guys believe it. Cinematography is up to snuff. Audio, great music choices. There's one right at the beginning, and the fight scene that happens while this song is playing is perfect. It's perfect. It's almost like a dance number. It is a dance number. It's a great way to start the movie. The way they started the movie, perfect. Perfect way to start the movie. So the music's good. Not necessarily the score, but the actual music, right? Story, narrative. That's probably the weakest part of this is the narrative. The why. The why any of this shit is happening. And I feel like I don't know what the narrative, or I know, but to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I don't care either. Because that's not why I'm watching it. You feel what I'm saying? Same thing with like Dumb and Dumber. It's not why I watched it. And that's what this is. That's what this is. You kind of have to you got to look at it with those glasses, those tinted glasses on. This is a comedy first. And if you get that, because you have Hugh Jackman in a comedy, he doesn't do comedy. And that's probably one of the better things about it, is watching Hugh Jackman do comedy. So, but it's really good. My thing is, you should go see it in the theater. That's how I'm gonna rate. Should you leave your house and go to the theater? The answer is yes. Leave your house, go watch it in the theater around a bunch of people. I don't know how much legs the movie's gonna have if you haven't seen it yet, but yeah, go see it with a bunch of people, laugh, that kind of shit. Good cameos, so you're gonna get that response from the audience. It was fun, very fun movie. But that wasn't the only Marvel news that had everybody talking this weekend, because you had the San Diego Comic-Con going on at the same time, which I'm pretty sure was coordinated, right? Release of the movie, Comic-Con, perfect. So they do their, obligatory promotion for, their film that's out this weekend. But, they had some new shit to announce. And the biggest thing coming out of it was that, Robert Downey Jr. is back. He's back in a Marvel film in the MCU, but as a completely different character. Or so they say now. They say that now, but it could be Tony Stark with a mask on. Who knows? But he's supposed to be Doctor Doom. And I thought that was interesting. That was an interesting, of course this is them pivoting. And I don't know why they would ever do this and push their chips in on one guy, but they pushed all their chips in on Jonathan Majors as Kang. And it would have been cool to see how that worked out. But of course he had his issues. They dropped him like a bad habit and had to pivot. And this is the pivot. The pivot is Doctor Doom, but Doctor Doom is played by Robert Downey Jr., who also played Iron Man, who died in 2019's Avengers Endgame. So that's very interesting. Of course, they got this multiverse thing going on. And I feel like it's like a gift and a curse. What the multiverse thing does is allows that, or I don't, because now they've been trying to interweave everything. But when they don't, what the multiverse does is allow you to tell stories that that doesn't have to have any connective tissue. You feel what I'm saying? I feel like those are the things that they can really let their creativity run loose on, because they don't have to connect it to nothing. Every time they do that, it takes away from the organic nature, whatever it is they're trying to make, because it has to be connected to something that's not even filmed yet. You feel what I'm saying? Like they didn't film a second of this thing, but it has to be connected to that. Then it has to be connected to this thing that happens in 4 years. Like that's a lot, and shit happens. Look at Black Panther, right? They didn't even know that their lead actor in their $1 billion movie had cancer. But that's what happens when you plan so far ahead of time instead of just making the movie now. And I feel like the movies that they make now, like Deadpool and Wolverine, because realistically, Deadpool and Wolverine has very little connective tissue to the overarching MCU. People sat in their seats for the post-credit scene, And it was just a callback to a joke that was in the film. It was good. It was a good joke. It was a well paid off joke. It was great. Timing. Perfect. Right? But it didn't have that connective tissue. And that's why this movie is so good. Because they got a chance to just make the movie they wanted to make. The silliest, craziest shit. And we could use that. We could use this. We could use this. We could use the sandbox because y'all have a license for us to use all this shit. Instead of being pigeonholed and strapped to this timeline of shit that happened already. Like, who the fuck cares? Most of us so-called fans, right? We really just want to see good shit. That's what we want. We want good shit. We want filmmakers that not just care about the property and the IP and how they're treating the IP, but care about making a dope ass film because they want people in that theater to lose their fucking minds. That's what I want. So I would imagine that's what they want. Or that's what they should want. But, you know, people get real tied into, well, is it going to add up when they make the Avengers 8 and 3? I can't think about that. I might not even be around for that shit. But I know this movie I'm going to see right now, this is a good-ass movie. Shit, I'm going to watch it again if it's good. And that's all they should be worried about, you know? Making good films. They got the properties, they got the stories. Make good films out of it. You know, I thought it was it's not just weird, it's crazy that it took this long to make Wolverine look like Wolverine, to where it was easily recognizable. They even joked on that because they had, that's a spoiler. Never mind. I was about to spoil some shit. This is a scene that you should see because it's a good scene, so I'm not gonna spoil it. But the fact that just now they're putting him in that uniform or costume. If you've seen Spider-Man dressed like Spider-Man, you've seen Superman dressed like Superman, Batman's had a litany of costumes and Batmobiles and shit. And you couldn't see Wolverine dressed traditionally as Wolverine. Make it make sense. None. But Robert Downey Jr. is Dr. Doom. There's a lot of people speculating on how Marvel is going to write theirself out of this one. Because is it going to sell the tickets? Look, he said, new mask, same task. And that task that he was referring to was selling tickets. That's the task. That's why he's back. He's back to sell those tickets. So, yeah, I am interested to see how they write themselves out of this, because that's what's going to happen. They have to write themselves out of this hole because they were building towards Kang, Loki, Ant-Man, and they were building towards this Kang character. And now that's done. There's no Kang character. He's gone. And so I'm guessing that when he got defeated in Ant-Man and the Wasp, or Ant-Man Quantumania, he's gone. He's out of here. There's no more Kang the Conqueror. So how do you explain that? You know what I'm saying? How do you explain Robert Downey Jr. unless they just don't even acknowledge the fact that he looks exactly like Tony Stark? That would be oh man. You talking about a motherfucker dying of laughter. If they just act like we don't know that that's Robert Downey Jr. who played Iron Man, and now he's just this new character, Dr. Doom. Chef's kiss. I would love that shit. It would make so many people so mad. Oh, man, that shit would be great. That would be a phenomenal day. I couldn't wait for that movie to drop. Woo! That's going to be a classic. No explanation. New character. That's going to be dope. But they're going to make up some bullshit. Some bullshit excuse that he's back. You know how they're going to do. Just don't take off the mask, just the voice. You know, because then, you know, Tony Stark is very quippy. You know, he's very reactive, and he talks a lot of shit. Dr. Doom doesn't talk a lot of shit. Doctor Doom is, maniacal, but he's like a conqueror, or, he's from Latavia. Like, listen, one thing that I'm not pressed on is I don't need these comic book characters to be one-to-one with, the movie character has to be one-to-one with the comic character, right? I was shocked that they actually did Thanos and made it to where he wasn't a complete lame. They made Thanos cool. I was shocked by that. Because they could have made Thanos very lame. Very lame. It was so easy for them to make it lame. They had to put so much work into making him cool. So much. Right? By the end of the movie, you thought Thanos was a real fucking person. There is nobody that looks like that walking around. But it had you thinking that he was a real character. Well, he is a real character, but yeah, it was real. Like, you not real, but you're like, oh, yeah, that's not a CG person. It's Thanos. That's crazy, right? So the fact that they were able to do that, it gives me a lot of faith that they can make a Doctor Doom character that's played by Robert Downey Jr., who we just saw win an Oscar for really not being unrecognizable, because you clearly could see that he was Robert Downey Jr., but he wasn't Iron Man. He was still an asshole, though. Think about that. The man know how to play two different types of assholes. I think we good, man. I think we all right. I think Strauss was an asshole in Oppenheimer. A complete asshole. He was a hater, too. He was a hater and an asshole. And he was a conniver. He was sneaky. Backfired on him. Crazy. Crazy. So, I have a lot of faith. Now, could they have given a younger actor the gig? Well, I'll say this to that. Looks like in Hollywood, they're hiring the same 50 to 60 people anyway, right? Unless you're getting on like the real independent circuit. A lot of it is recycled actors and actresses. So all they did was recycle their best character, their best guy. They repurposed him. Because he probably was looking like, shit, man, like, I can handle this. I can do some other stuff. And he probably feels artistically fulfilled. And what I mean by that is, I could look at how a person that's making these Marvel films and just this hamster wheel of content and not having an emotional attachment to it, because they might not look at it like it's art, because it's such a product, right? So I get that, and these actors and actresses are artists. They want to do things that they can exhibit their feelings and their craft into. And it's hard to do that when you're, Thor or somebody, one of these characters. You got all this shit on. You got to act with this crazy outfit on, which means it's a testament to your skills for sure. But yeah, it's like traveling to a whole different world. So some of these actors want to do other stuff. And I feel like with Robert Downey Jr., last year he got a chance to be in not only a financially profitable movie, one of the biggest of the year, but a critically acclaimed movie, and everybody coming out of it was talking about how good he was in the film. The film was so good, him, the lead actor, and the director won an Oscar. Then he did the documentary on his father. Just those two projects there. He said, shit, I don't care if I'm Iron Man for 3 more decades. Well, my man saying, Deadpool, you're going to be doing this till you're 90. Yes, you'll be doing this shit till you're 90. He like, I've been fulfilled creatively. I don't mind this. Like, this is fun. Like, he's having a good time. He's having fun, which makes me think that as long as Marvel was focused on telling a good story and having a reason for all these heroes to come back and all this other wild shit. It's a fun time at the theater. That's it. It's a fun time at the theater. And Robert Downey Jr. is really good at this shit. Like he's A1. A fucking one at it. Like he's you talking about a person embodying a role, him, Hugh Jackman, Heath Ledger. See, it's funny because I don't want to put Tobey Maguire in there because he didn't embody the role. He was actually resentful that people keep bringing up Spider-Man, so I don't want to put him in there. But people that are just synonymous with that character, you feel what I'm saying? Like, shit, Samuel L. Jackson loves to play Nick Fury. He wish he could play Nick Fury 10 more times if he could. You feel what I'm saying? So, oh man, it's just when people kind of get on this high horse. Man, I can't do this role anymore. People love you in that role. Not saying that you can't do other roles. And yes, there is pigeonholing. People do get pigeonholed. I think Tobey Maguire got pigeonholed. He just had like a funny look to him. You know, not to say everybody, you know, got a look. He had a funny look to him, you know, very distinct look. But, you know, people just associating with Spider-Man. But we've had 2 Spider-Man since then. And I feel like that's being alleviated at this point. You feel what I'm saying? Especially after No Way Home. But yeah. Oh, one thing I also want to talk about too. I started off talking about, you know, every time one of these movies come out and do well, you get this subsector of film critics, and some of these people are filmmakers also, that just feel the need to, let's just say what it is, shit on the superhero genre and more specifically Marvel movies, because they feel like they aren't like art or high art for that matter, right? And listen, the truth is they're not high art, and that's okay. It's okay. Well, if it's not, it's for children. That's okay. That's fine. Right? Because sometimes, like for instance, a movie like Die Hard. Love Die Hard. That's my shit. But it's silly. It's a silly ass movie. I love it. It's great. Speed with Keanu Reeves and is that Dustin Hoffman that's in that film? Yeah, Sandra Bullock. Silly. I know I mentioned Speed twice, so it's probably time to go watch Speed. Silly ass movie. Silly movie. And every now and then you get a movie that really, really, really has something to say. Like Parasite or Do the Right Thing and shit like that. But that's not all the time. That's not most films. Sometimes you need to just bash zombies in the head with a bat and be sad when somebody from your family gets bit by one. Like, that's okay. Or they keep doing it. They keep doing a lot of this shit. Why nobody ever criticized Martin Scorsese for making so many goddamn Italian gangster films? Mean Streets. Even Raging Bull is kind of an Italian gangster movie, but not a gangster movie, but somewhere in that field, right? Criminal Activity, right? Casino, Goodfellas, Irishman. You know, it was nice to see him do something different with Killers of the Flower Moon. But there's still some gangster elements in that, because that's just a part of what he makes. But nobody's tired of seeing it. They're like, man, you can't make more of them motherfuckers. So, what's the difference? Well, he does his as high art, and that's true. He's a filmmaker. He's a visionary. So yeah, he wants his to be high art every time. But you get those opportunities at times with superhero movies. The Batman, which just got a bunch of critical acclaim. The Dark Knight, which is still not just one of the best superhero films, but one of the best films, period. It's about a dude running around with a cape on, fighting crime, chasing the maniac around. Everything don't gotta be dead. Everything doesn't have to have this super layered, deep ass meaning. We all watch horror films. They're basic as fuck. I know I'm going like this mini rant, but every time I see these people do that, especially something like Deadpool or Wolverine, Deadpool has to be funny. It has to be a comedy, because that's the character of Deadpool. It's not supposed to be this highbrow shit. It's lowbrow. It's dick jokes. It's people getting stabbed in the butt and shit like that. That is fine. I love that kind of shit, man. Everything don't have to have these deep ass layers. I just feel like there has to be balance. There has to be times where I want layers, meaning. I want something to affect me spiritually in my soul. But then there's times I just want to fucking laugh. And that affects me spiritually and in my soul, but in a different way. So these snobs, man, just let people have some fun. In fact, unclench your butt cheeks and enjoy the film. It's a lot of contrarian shit. That's what's happening. Wanting to look like I'm intelligent because I'm going in the other direction. That's bogus. Just you hyped to see the film too. The person I saw do this, they just didn't want to express that they really wanted to see the film, because they make films themselves and they want to hold themselves up to making high art. But then when you really look at the shit they making, they ain't made shit that's really high art yet anyway. Nothing that's high art or this, you know, the motherfuckers ain't making fucking Jungle Fever, or, you know, people not even making shit that has anything to say. Where's their worldview in their art? Can't even tell. Anyway, I don't like that shit. Enjoy the fucking movie, man. It's funny. It's a good time with your friends, your girl. It's a date movie, but for adults. So yeah, man, that's pretty much all I had. That is all I had, man. Let me see what's going on in the chat. My bad, y'all. I was sitting there staring down the barrel of this camera. I didn't read the chat, see what's going on. All right. Blue Moon, what's going on, man? Yeah, it's been a while. My apologies too, because a lot of it's been because just the trepidation of going live. I gotta have something that I want to talk about. If I don't have something I want to talk about, then it's hard for me to hit that live. It gotta be something that's on my mind that I feel like is worthy of sharing with everybody. We all like these summer films, you know, the Marvel films and just action films and shit like that in general. So, you know, when I see one of them and it provokes a thought, then I like going live and talk about it. Like I talked about Long Legs. I don't know if it was a few weeks ago now, but I talked about the movie Long Legs, and I kind of just went live because I had just saw it, and I didn't really have much to say about it, to be honest, because it didn't move me to really want to talk about it. So we started talking about a bunch of other shit, which was cool too. This in particular, I saw this person react to not seeing Deadpool or Wolverine, but just the fact that everybody was excited about it and just downplayed it every chance they got. They want more. They want more layered shit. Well, there's a bunch of stuff out there for that. This is not for the layered. This is to just be enjoyed. That's it. It's not meant to be this high art kind of deal. So, Mr. Antsy, really want Kitty Pryde to be Tom Holland's Spidey. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. That kind of shit I really don't care about, to be honest with you. I just want to watch a good movie. That's really it. Like, to be honest with you. Yeah, like if I can get into the characters, laugh, all that kind of stuff, That's my vibe. All that minutia there, that's for the people that write it. I don't care about that at all. If his love interest is Mary Jane, or they feel like he should be with what's the other chick, Gwen Stacy, then so be it. Just up to their writing, whatever they do to tell that story. Me, I don't care about any of that kind of shit. Like, I was just telling, shout out to my man Dallas, man. They was just down there at DreamCon in Texas and shit. But I was talking to him about like how I'm not a big lore guy. Like, lore is not my bag. And it's because to me that's like the icing on the cake. Like, that's the extras. I'm more about relationships, characters, narrative. What's this journey that we got to go on? All the stuff that's surrounding that, that's not, I never think of that first. That's always secondary. Not even secondary sometimes. Sometimes that's like the fourth or fifth thing. You feel what I'm saying? I've seen movies that had great lore, but I never wanted to watch them shits again. Because the story was ass. It was terrible. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about their journey. I didn't care about nothing they was doing. But the lore was cool. You know, this world was ravaged by a disease that, you know, that kind of shit. Like, whatever. I don't care about that. That's all dressing. Blaze, what's happening? All is well, man. I'm doing pretty good. God willing. If I'm able to get on here and talk shit, especially about movies and filmmaking and all that cool stuff, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. So I'm not talking about games no more. You know what? We talked about games. Shit, last time I was live, man, something happened in gaming and we had sat around and talked about it. But yeah, ain't nothing going on in that front for me right now. So you were talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, Marvel films, and stuck up motherfuckers, man. People that just got their nose in the air. This is not art. You know, and fucking Martin Scorsese started this shit. It's him. He started it. He fucked it all up because he had people really sitting around thinking about, is Marvel movie cinema while they're watching them in a cinema. How silly you gotta be to even listen. Shout out to Martin Scorsese. He makes some of the best shit I ever watched. But fuck all of that, bro. That's some old bullshit. You are watching it in a cinema. It is a story told in visual form. A fucking movie. The same as all those movies and shit he made. Well, it's a roller coaster ride. Okay. All right. So he ain't watched a single 80s action movie in his fucking life. They was nothing but roller coaster rides. All right, man. Talking shit. Anyway. Damn, we said fuck games is dry as fuck. Nah, I mean, I said nah. Like, look, I saw that Jokers had the Elden Ring DLC. College football just came out. That the game with the ape, the monkey game. That's the monkey game. That's some crazy shit. Wukong is coming out soon. Some games coming out, man. Some games coming out. It is some games coming out. I mean, a lot of that probably is that he's an old man. He might, I mean, listen, I think he would probably make a great superhero movie. Superman, whatever. He probably would make a good superhero movie. He just got to get his head out his ass, man. He got to cut that bullshit out. Stop hating. He hating on the fact that that to really break that box off, which is absolutely false now that we see. He thought that the key to breaking the box office open was, oh, you gotta make a superhero movie or a Fast and Furious or some shit like that. And that's not the truth. Because Oppenheimer just showed you otherwise. Now, he made Killers of the Flower Moon. I saw it in the theater. But you're talking about a movie that's damn near 4 hours long. Watching it in the theater. How much money do you really want to make? People attention spans got shorter. So you gotta roll the punches. You still want to make this crazy art, which is fine because I appreciate it. I appreciate every second they put in every frame. Like, I love it. But realistically, how much money you're going to make with a fucking 4-hour movie? Excuse me. Not that much money. That's just realistic. So, yeah, man. Anything else, man? Anything else we got going on here? Olympics. Watched the Olympics today. LeBron James, man. LeBron James is a alien. But yeah, other than that, man, I don't really got too much to add. I'm say Christopher Nolan. It's the only director that can make a 4-hour movie and make bank. I'm not gonna say he the only one. I think it depends on the movie that's being made, the hype that's around it. I think those are factors. Now, I think what you got now, or not even now, it's always the case, but you have, these rock star directors where the director is the star of the movie. You know what I mean? Quentin Tarantino is the star of his films. Christopher Nolan is the star of his films. Marty Scorsese is the star of his films. Shit. Would you say Spike Lee is the star of his films? I want to say he did work with Denzel. It's tough. You know what? Because when I think of Malcolm X, I definitely think of Spike Lee for sure. But I always think of that picture of Denzel with his temples just staring at me and shit. Like, that's a Denzel movie. He owned that fucking movie, man. Yes, he owned that movie. Great movie. I think James Gunn is now. I don't think Taika Waititi is yet. I don't think so. I think he'll make a movie and you won't even know that it was him that made it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think so. I don't think he's one of them guys. Well, now the Russo brothers, after I saw yesterday, listen, I don't want to talk shit about these people. I want to work with these people, but I gotta get this one off. So the Russo brothers are back to direct the Avengers Doomsday and the Avengers Secret War, I think it's called Secret War, right? And, initially they were like, hey, listen, we just started our own thing. We're going to do this. Well, not just started, but they've been started their own thing. But we got our own thing, and, we're kind of working on this right now. And they put out some movies. They even produced some movies, right? I don't think those movies did too good. I don't think they did too well. And they went back to the well, man, making an Avengers movie. Which is nothing wrong with at all. Nothing wrong with it. I'm glad that they're back on board. But, yeah. Yeah. They're like, we're going to go with what worked. Because they were trying new shit. They were doing different stuff. They were trying to make action films. What was that movie that had Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans? It was like a Netflix joint. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was an enjoyable movie, but it was nothing memorable. It wasn't one of those movies. Like, David Fincher just did The Killer, right? And I was kind of like 50-50 with that movie. Like, I liked some of it I didn't like. And I actually liked, it was called The Gray Man, if I'm not mistaken. I liked that movie more than The Killer, but I felt like I heard about The Killer more than I heard about that movie. Well, after the fact, like, more people enjoyed The Killer than enjoyed that movie with Ryan Gosling. Excuse me. And it's crazy because I don't even know the name for sure. I want to say it's called The Gray Man. I want to say it's called Gray Man or something like that. So, yeah, but you got these rock star directors, and I guess, you said we still get genius like George Miller, And you know what, George Miller is not even a rock star director, because George Miller was getting shitted on a lot. Pause. Like, you know, they was treating George Miller like dirt. He don't like the movie business. That's crazy, because and see, this is the thing. You have people that don't like the movie business. They hate the movie business, but they know how to make films, which people are like, well, you know, yes, that means something, because it's not just, oh, I know where to put the camera, or I know how to get this guy to cry on cue, or no, man, you know how to do the whole thing from concept to pre-production all the way to delivery, even doing the press for the films. You're just familiar with the process. That's why these guys get more chances. You take a guy like Zack Snyder, right? And I think that his Rebel Moon director's cut is coming out soon, something like that. You take a guy like him, and you're like, wow, his movies, they failed miserably. Actually, they when we're talking about box office, he got a chance to do Batman versus Superman. Now the movie made money, it just didn't make the money that they thought it would make. Right? They thought it would be like this huge film, and it was kind of like, it was big but not huge. Pause. So that's a failure to a studio. It didn't live up to expectations. Then they cancel his Justice League and so forth and so on, right? Okay. Then he puts out the Snyder cut of the Justice League, and it does decent, but nothing crazy, right? Then he does like Army of the Dead, and that just came and went. That was like wet fart. Now he's doing Rebel Moon, and that first Rebel Moon, people was jazzed to see it. They were excited to see it, and then they saw it, and that changed. This second one was wet fart. Nothing. Like nothing. I watched all this stuff. It was okay. Right? Now you have this director's cut. But here's the kick. He'll get another chance even though these movies failed. Because the guy just has the process of making a film, especially a film with a bigger budget. That's another thing. Handling the budget of a film. He's got it down pat, man. He's mastered that shit. He has a good, solid team that can get that shit done. And that's what matters. Can you get this shit done? Films are people getting shit done. That's why I don't get into the minutia of films, because in a way I kind of know it's about getting shit done. And some directors just get shit done, man. They get it fucking done. And, you know, they become rock stars. So Christopher Nolan clearly knows what to do with a budget. And he's put so many good people around his brother, you know, his wife. They have a great team, a great nucleus. God doesn't even have a phone. Why? Because his team handles everything. They just allow him to be creative. Because you know, when he is creative, we're about to do numbers. So, shit, man. I wouldn't mind being a rock star director. I gotta make that first great one. The first great one. Gotta get that great one off your chest. I think I got something good. I don't know if it's great, but I think I have something that people will be interested in. But yeah, man, I've been on for an hour. I've been trying to keep these about an hour some change. Yeah, I don't really have more to add to that. So I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I got a video coming out in the morning for my editors. Check that out if you're free, if you're available. And I have something later on in the week. Now that I don't want to spill the beans on. I just want to upload it and for people to watch it and give me some feedback, because it's one of those kind of things. It's not a tutorial or nothing like that. Something you can sit down, have a drink, and watch. So, yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Let me holler at y'all before I go. Shout out to Blue Moon, hold me down. It's been a while, brother. It's been a good minute. Shout out to Bats, man. It was good, man. Of course, shout out to Blaze for stopping through, and Boogie. I want more cash. Shout out to I want more cash. Holding it down. Holding the chat down. The View with Drew. I ain't even see this joint early on, man. Shout out to the view with Drew. Yeah, man, I'm gonna get up out of here, bro. It's hot as fuck in this room right now. It's the summertime. Um, it's crazy because central air, bro. You can have central air, and people, oh man, I have central air. Everything's good. Shit. Listen, if it's hot, if it's like boiling outside, man, that central air look like a good fan on you. Yeah, I got a all right fan. You feel what I'm saying? Because that heat, especially, I guess it's depending on, your window stucco and shit like that. But yeah, so it's a little warm in here. Plus, I got all these lights, computers, and shit on. So yeah, man, I appreciate everybody for stopping through, man. I'm gonna do more of these. I promise you. Probably when films drop, because I go to the movies pretty often. I watch a lot of shit. Speaking of that, I gotta finish The Boys. Still haven't finished The Boys. Gotta finish The Boys. I think I'm gonna do a live when I finish it and talk about it. Because so far I have not liked it. So far it's a little dry. It's a little dry. So let's talk about that. It's just a bunch of other stuff. I always get on here and talk about, filmmaking and shit like that. And yeah, man, I'm gonna have the content out, man. So I appreciate everybody stopping through. Sunday evening. Hope everybody is good. Take care of yourself. And I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Y'all be cool while y'all be cool. I'm up out of here. Y'all take it easy. Peace.